Imagine a young girl full of dreams and innocence, logging onto Facebook one ordinary day in 2015. She's just 12 years old, scrolling through friends' pages, when she spots a boy from across the ocean. What starts as a simple online friendship blossoms into something she believes is love, a connection that spans continents, time zones, and years. But hidden beneath the sweet messages and virtual hugs is a darkness that will shatter her world. This is the heartbreaking story of Ashley Wadsworth, a bright-eyed teenager from Canada, whose quest for romance led her straight into the arms of a monster. And in the end, it cost her everything. Ashley Wadsworth was the kind of person who lit up every room she walked into. Born and raised in Vernon, British Columbia, she was 19 when her life was cut tragically short. Friends and family remember her as incredibly kind-hearted, the type who'd go out of her way to befriend international students at school so they wouldn't feel alone in a new country. She was studious with big plans for the future. She'd been accepted to Thompson Rivers University, but decided to take a gap year, working odd jobs at places like McDonald's, Burger King and Home Depot to save up money. Ashley was also deeply rooted in her faith as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints or Mormons. She loved sharing her beliefs, and that spiritual side of her made her even more compassionate. Her mother, Christy Gendron, described her as the backbone of our little family, beautiful, smart, and destined for great things. But like so many teens, Ashley craved adventure and connection, and that's where Jack Sepple entered the picture. It all began innocently enough. Back in 2015, when Ashley was just 12, she friended 15 or 16-year-old Jack on Facebook after seeing him on a mutual acquaintances page. He lived in Chelmsford, Essex, England, a world away from her quiet Canadian town. At first, they were like modern-day pen pals, chatting every day despite the 8-hour time difference. Ashley would wake up early. Jack would stay up late. They'd share stories, dreams, and secrets. Over time, that friendship turned into a crush, then something deeper. Jack started sending her gifts, clothes, money, teddy bears, jewelry, even a handbag. It felt romantic, exciting, but there were red flags from the start. Jack was jealous, possessive. Fights would erupt over nothing. Maybe Ashley mentioned a boy at school, and Jack would accuse her of cheating. She'd block him on social media, only for him to create new accounts and bombard her, or even message her sister Haley and her friends to get through. In 2018, when Jack was nearly 20, he got a tattoo of Ashley's name on his arm, a gesture that Christy found over the top and forbade Ashley from matching. That same year, during one heated argument, Jack dragged a knife across the tattoo in a twisted display of love, something Ashley's friend Tiana Kowalchuk later called his deranged way of professing his love. And it wasn't just Ashley. Women Jack dated in England would call her, begging for help to calm him down because he wouldn't let them leave his house. These were warning signs, but young love can be blind, especially when it's wrapped in the thrill of distance and digital promises. By 2020, Ashley was 18, and the pandemic had upended her plans. She deferred university and poured her energy into saving for a trip to England. Her family was wary. Christy wasn't thrilled about her daughter flying off to meet this boy she'd never seen in person, but Ashley was an adult now, determined to make her own choices. On November 12, 2021, she boarded a plane alone, posting a Snapchat from the air, her face beaming with excitement. The next day at London Gatwick Airport, she and Jack met face-to-face for the first time. She changed her Facebook profile picture to a photo of them together, and the comments poured in, friends and family wishing her well. At first, it seemed like a fairy tale. Ashley moved into Jack's row house in a public housing complex in northwest Chelmsford. They explored the town, adopted a kitten named Winston, and Ashley would FaceTime her family showing off her new life. But the honeymoon phase faded fast. Jack was unemployed, living on social assistance, and his true nature started to show. He isolated her, no chatting with neighbors. no attending church services, even though Ashley had connected with American missionaries in Chelmsford and wanted to share her faith. She'd delete her WhatsApp history to hide innocent texts from them, terrified of Jack's reaction. His control was suffocating, and the abuse turned physical. On Boxing Day, December 26, 2021, just 6 weeks after she arrived, Jack texted his mother, Tracy Dalton, admitting he'd smacked Ashley because she'd blocked numbers he suspected belonged to other men. Tracy shot back, "That's no reason to lay a hand on her." Ashley started secretly documenting her bruises in a hidden Snapchat folder and confided in Haley, but swore her sister to secrecy, threatening to cut off contact if she told their mom. Then came the overdose. Late December, Jack tried to take his own life with anti-anxiety meds, and Ashley called an ambulance. She became his unofficial caregiver, locking away his pills but kept it from Christy until Haley let it slip. Christy begged Ashley to come home, but she refused, convinced she could help Jack change. The violence escalated. In early January 2022, Jack smashed a beer mug over Ashley's head. She FaceTimed Haley in tears, sweeping up glass shards while Jack paced and screamed in the background. Haley pleaded with her to fly home, but Ashley stayed. Jack's family even arranged a trip to Rye to reset things, and for a moment, it seemed better photos showed smiles, and Christy breathed a sigh of relief. But it was a facade. Late January, Jack flew into a rage over old messages on Ashley's phone. He demanded her social media passwords, hit her again, threw a candle and remote during another FaceTime with Haley. Finally, Ashley agreed to leave. She booked a flight for February 3rd, 2022. But Jack's text to his mum on January 29th hinted at his unraveling. He suggested Ashley should go home, but Tracy urged patience. On January 30th, Ashley updated her Facebook photo to a happy one, perhaps trying to convince herself or the world that everything was okay. Then came February 1st, 2022, the day that changed everything. That morning, a neighbor heard a woman scream from the flat. Ashley confided in the neighbor that Jack had beaten her. He had thrown little Winston the kitten against the wall, and she was hysterical. Fearing for her life, "He's going to kill me." Jack later apologized to the neighbor, seeming calm, but inside rage boiled over. Angered by Ashley's decision to leave facing the imminent loss of control over her, as the judge later put it, Jack attacked. He strangled her, then stabbed her repeatedly, inflicting a horrifying 90 wounds, mostly to her chest, with defensive cuts on her wrists showing she fought back. He left her body in their shared bed covered in blood and went about his day. In a chilling twist, Jack used Ashley's phone to message her friends saying everything was sorted. He played video games with her blood still on his hands. Around 12:45 p.m., he recorded a video on his phone covered in blood, apologizing with her lifeless body in the frame. Later, he FaceTimed his sister, showing her the scene. Friends, worried after no response from Ashley, alerted police. At 4:13 p.m., officers forced entry and found Jack, who confessed immediately, "I went psychotic, I'm sorry. I strangled her and stabbed her." The news hit Ashley's family like a freight train. Her father, Ken, woke to Haley screaming on the phone, "My sister is dead, Ashley's dead, Jack's murdered her." Christy described it as a nightmare they'd never wake from. They flew to England to collect her body, retracing her steps in a haze of grief. Ken later said the murder strained his marriage and changed him forever. He became withdrawn, uncomfortable in public, haunted by what-ifs. Haley tormented herself with questions. What were Ashley's last words? Did she ask for us? Jack's history painted a picture of a dangerous man. He'd been convicted of harassment, assaulting his own mother, and breaching restraining orders patterns of violence toward women dating back to 2014. Before Ashley, he'd abused ex-partners, and even while with her, he faced charges from a previous relationship. In court, it emerged he'd shown violent and controlling behavior throughout. In September 2022, Jack pleaded guilty to murder. At his October sentencing, the judge called him a dangerous individual and handed down life with a minimum of 23 years and 6 months. Ken addressed Jack directly. "You need to know and accept the brutality of what you've done and the never-ending pain you've caused my family," Christie added. Ashley's love for Jack ultimately cost her her life. She tried to better him and even introduce him to religion. Ashley's death wasn't just a personal tragedy. It sparked a broader conversation. Her sister Haley believes if they'd known about Jack's violent past through something like Clare's Law, which allows disclosure of a partner's abusive history, she might still be alive. The case highlighted the dangers of online relationships, especially for young women crossing borders into unknown territory. Experts and survivors pointed out how abusers use manipulation like threats of suicide or cycles of abuse and apology to trap victims. In Vernon, the community mourned deeply. Friends shared stories of her kindness, and the loss rippled through her church and school. Holidays and birthdays now bring an empty seat at the table for the Wadsworth family, a constant reminder of the girl who chased love and found only horror. Ashley's story is a stark warning. Behind the screen, predators lurk, and what seems like destiny can turn deadly. But in remembering her, we honor her light, the kindness, the faith, the unbreakable spirit that no amount of darkness could fully extinguish. If only she'd made it home.